They've been very vocal during the early games here. Some exciting football in the early games as well, with Norths represented in all three grades today, and the crowd getting right behind the teams. And I'd say that there's good support for both clubs here, both Norths and West. And here come Norths.
Minor premiers, they also won the pre-season, the Devils. They've only got to get one more to get the trifecta. This is the big one. And coached by Mark Murray, who was in the last North Premiership winning side in 1980. Long time between drinks. Paul Hubbard is at fullback. Matthew Dux and John Wilshire on the wings. Steve Bell and Matt Geyer, one of the guys who played with Melbourne as recently as last week. They're in the centres. Craig O'Dwyer and Kevin Carmichael. Carmichael captains the side. Mark Prothero at lock forward. Daniel Frame and Andrew Hamilton make up a very strong back row. And talk about strength, they've got it in the front row as well. Wade Fenton and Anthony Bonus, two big men there. And Dale Williams is the hooker. The skipper, Kevin Carmichael, and interestingly enough, Kevin Carmichael is the only surviving player from the north side of last year. So there are 12 other players that have been brought in to bolster, and what a way to bolster a side. And certainly it shows some great strength. Dave Liddell, he gets his own poster. He is a bit of a hero out Panthers way, and that's the sort of passion that he plays with.
Now here come the Panthers, and a number of players in this side likely to retire after this, and Craig Bowen with a couple of his boys by the look of it, bringing them out. Certainly the mascots there for the Panthers. Jason Twist comes out, a very important role for him today. His kicking has been superb the last couple of weeks. The red and black streamers, Tony Devlin at fullback, Mark Maguire on one wing, Sean Valentine and Craig Smith, strong centre pair. Scott Williamson on the other wing, Craig Bowen the captain at 5'8", Jason Twist the halfback, Joel Toohill in at lock forward, Alan Wheeland and Cameron Roper the second rowers, Rob Campbell, Jason Campbell and David Asplin the front row. In the warm-up, they were very robust, this west side. There's Craig Bowen, probably the most experienced player in the side, very skillful player, and he will lead by example. The look of intensity on their faces.
Well, Dave Liddell is actually out there, Warren. I haven't done a head count yet, but they've got the whole squad out there. So that's interesting that they have played with some great teamwork in the latter part of the year. And both teams standing in their respective huddles. Very professional, the North's outfit, under Mark Murray and under the banner of the Melbourne Storm. Actually, their shirts from time to time, Warren, say the Northern Storm. That's a thing to come.
The referee is Tony Maxsood. Let's hope he has a great game. Let's hope the referee gets all the calls right. It's a tough job, and in a grand final, you want the two teams to settle it. I mentioned that West were very robust in their warm-up. It was also noticeable there's quite a lot of tape on a number of the players. They have had to play every week, and so no doubt carrying a few injuries. You would expect that North should be fresh and fully fit.
No doubt about that. The Devils, they have had the red carpet ride into this grand final. They earned it, of course, having been minor premiers and continued to win their two matches they're required to play. They have leapfrogged straight into the grand final. On the other hand, the Panthers have had to fight every inch of the way. They came back from 16-0 down against the Gold Coast about 3 weeks ago. And then they got out of jail against Brothers 2 weeks ago with a try 1 minute from time.
So away we go in the grand final of 1998 in the Queensland Cup. John Wilshire boots it down to Craig Bowen, and Dave Asplin is knocked over, and already an injury for a Norths player. And it looks like O'Dwyer is down hurt, and that is a blow. He's staggering back on side.
Head knock.
Terrible blow if the 5'8" is out of the game early on. He's back on his feet, but extremely groggy. West taking play up towards halfway. Rob Campbell plays it back. Jason Campbell through Twist. Alan Wheeland working it towards centre field.
O'Dwyer's been replaced by Tristan Brady-Smith, number 17.
As Cam Roper hits it up for West. Just short of halfway now. The surface looks magnificent, Gavin Payne.
Yeah, in good condition, the field. Slight breeze blowing, fully favouring western suburbs at the moment. Nice conditions this afternoon, a bit cloudy, so it shouldn't get too hot for the players. If it's anything like the last two Queensland Cup grand finals, it should be a beauty.
Matt Geyer plays it back, and Daniel Frame hits it up. There's half a dozen players who played for the Melbourne Storm this year in action for Norths today. And we look at the season record, both very impressive, piling on the points. North's the best attacking side in the competition. West's the second best. And when you look at defence, well, they're right up there as well. North's fourth best and West fifth best. Fifth tackle for North's here as they run it out wide to Wilshire's wing. He drops it on the ground behind, and Bell tries to keep it on the toe. He's just put it over the sideline. A little bit clumsy on the last there, the Devils.
Yeah, Tristan Brady Smith was first receiver. He elected to run the ball when he actually could have got a kick in and kept the Panthers trapped near their own goal line, but back their ability to run it on that last, it didn't come off.
Dave Ash.
12 metres out now. Panthers are very deliberate in this area of the field. Joel Toohill. Twisters on the left. There he is. Throws the dummy. Goes straight at Jason Twisters. The dash from the little man. North held off. He stood on the left-hand side of the ruck. He threw a little bit of a dummy, and then for some reason, a yawning gap in the defence of the Devils, and Jason Twist exploited it. He comes up with the first points for the Panthers.
Twist flew through this hole. He just took off like a rocket, and from 5 metres out goes straight through. The North's defence moving up on this side of the ruck, and Twist sees a hole. Well, in fact, he could have passed the ball. He wasn't really forced to go himself. North just hanging off Twist, expecting him to pass as he switched it back towards the blind side, and they expected him to pass. Instead, he went himself, and that's a brilliant individual try to Jason Twist.
Always when these little fellows run the football, they're always at their most dangerous. He threw the dummy, the defence had held off. There wasn't much of a gap there. He needed every bit of pace that he has to exploit the opportunity. And West draw first blood after a penalty. And they had the option of perhaps kicking for goal.
I think, David, the North's defence simply saw the change, the switch of play across the ruck, and assumed that they would hit it out wide, and just took their eye off Twist for a moment too long. Yeah,
and the dummy helped that Warren too, and I think the marker who went left, and that was the case with two markers. You have one going right, one left. The one that went left overread it, and Twist came back on his inside. That's where the gap was. Devlin, who is deadly accurate. His accuracy is as good as anyone in the competition. He doesn't let me down or his supporters. The Panthers go out to a 6-0 lead after only 5.5 minutes.
Interesting decision by
Gavin. I can see Dave Ashburn about to come back to the touchline, so he's okay.
Yeah, he appears to be okay. Got a bit of a bump in the melon, I think, earlier on. Interesting that West Scrambley defence is quite good, but when given an opportunity in the attacking zone, Dave Liddell and the big forwards, they seem to grow an extra leg.
Oh, what a decision. Knocked back there by Craig Smith after a horror of a goal line dropout. Memories of Noel Clear when he missed it altogether. West have got it. Sam Falafi goes so close. Almost intercepted. They must score here. Surely. Twist. Hustling defence there from the Devils. Save the day. Down a blind side. They've got numbers. Campbell fires a pass out to Maguire. All he's got to do is take it and run. He's done it. What a way to do it. The big front rower reads the play. Cut out to his winger. Try time. The wingers might get the points. The front rowers set him up.
Well, certainly you can't argue there. There's no doubt the evidence is in front of us. But Rob Campbell, a beautiful pass. He picked out the right man, and Maguire on the fly judged his run. He didn't overrun the pass. He waited his moment and then hit it beautifully, untouched, over in the corner. But that all stems back to a horror dropout by Melbourne. I think it was Daniel Frame with the kick, which went about 15 metres. West came up with it, and in goes Maguire for a try. And despite the fact that Norths probably have had a slight territorial advantage, it's West who posted 2 tries.
Norths haven't really got in there to their power defensive game. Peter Liddell, the little dummy. The 10-metre rule these days allows you to roll it up the field. This is interesting out there to Campbell. Campbell up to Whelan. Tries to break the tackle back on the inside. Beautiful. Valentine Twist on the inside. Jason Twist. Not under the sticks. Yes. Right beside the sticks. Campbell again so effective to Whelan. Whelan went charging through. Back on the inside to Valentine. And Jason Twist. Where should a halfback be? Right up the middle on the inside. Jason Twist, number 2.
Well, this is extraordinary. What a change has come over this game. Here's West with these wide passes to stretch the defence. Campbell feeds it to Whelan in half a hole, and brilliant positional play by Valentine. Back inside, read it to perfection, draws the fullback, and away goes Jason Twist, the little halfback, backing up right down the middle, just like Terry Lamb used to do and scored so many tries. But look at this good football by West, and they're really moving this North defence wide.
They are on that inside pass too. You can see Valentine just pointing to Twisty, saying, "You just sit there, mate, I'll get it to you. Just wait and I'll give it to you at the right time." You hear about the second line of defence. Have a look at this for second line of attack. Whelan, the split-second timing there of Valentine. Stood deep, waited for Whelan to do his job because he'd been put into a half a gap by Campbell, and the big front rower is making his mark, and so is the little fellow. 15 tries.
Didn't they do everything just right there, West? The pass from Campbell was dead flat. Certainly, I don't think it was forward, but it was flat, and that means the defence has to wait and wait and wait, and that put Whelan halfway through the hole. Valentine perfectly positioned, and sometimes when your player comes through to the fullback, they go a little too far or they pass it a little too early, but Valentine got it just right. Didn't allow the fullback to come forward to him and twist over for the try.
Well, the Devils will be shell-shocked. There they are behind the try line. This is like shelling peas for Tony Devlin. And he knocks it over. 16-0 to the underdogs.
West playing a North-style set of six there with their wide running back rowers. North often have their second rowers standing wide, running off the front rowers and the halves. On that occasion, it was the big fella Whelan out wide off Campbell. Beautiful in the inside to Twist, and he's over beside the post for a great try. Could be a boil over.
Well, we talk about the Hallison days of West in the mid-70s when they had a great football team in those days. And there was another Twist that used to do a lot of damage. That was Richie Twist. This fellow, I think, is his nephew. And he brings back memories of the rampaging Panthers of the 70s. Twist, 2 tries, but they have knocked it on.
But a moment earlier, Sean Valentine made what could well have been a try-saving tackle, because when Hubbard brought the kick back, there was big space on the far side of the field. West didn't have the numbers there, and he was very nearly away, except Valentine getting him from behind.
The Devils now, they're still starting to throw silly passes. You don't need that. It's cost them 5 metres. Ricky Paul up to Carmichael. This time, support there from, I think, Rua. Pass up here to Frame. Out here to Guy. Comes back on the inside. Keeps searching right. Guy gets straight to. He should score. Matt Guy. Yes, under the sticks. The Panthers relaxed. The Devils struck. Matty Geyer, he got the pass finally on the outside. When searching back on the inside, the defence was not intense enough. And Geyer broke the first line, and the pace there was always going to get into the line.
Matt Geyer has been in devastating form in the past month. Been selected in the Melbourne side and played very well. And look at his acceleration here once he gets a chance. Breaks free of a tackle, goes straight between two, takes off, and they always had a hell of a time stopping him because he is very, very quick, and he's done it all himself here.
Anthony Bonus, this was the pass out the back to keep it alive, so even though I was critical of that, they've gone on now through Ricky Paul up there to Carmichael. Nice little pass up to keep it alive again, so they were really desperate, realising they need points. The desperation has often led to intercepts, but not on this occasion. Everything finally came off for the Devils. They've been threatening that for quite some time, and Wilshere, the top point scorer in the competition, should have no trouble.
John Wilshere right in front, moves into it and strikes it cleanly between the posts. Oh, he took a fair piece of the mould, but holds the ball as well. It's like knocking the tee as far as the ball in golf. 16-6. 15 short of halfway on the last. Twist looking for a better kick than the last one, and that's it. It's a torpedo, and it's away from Hubbard. It's a good-looking kick, and it's into touch 10 metres out. Where did he kick that one from?
Yeah, it was definitely inside the 40, well inside, so it'll be a very important set of 6 with only 1.5 minutes left on the clock.
Fine reaching torpedo from Twist. He's a little man, but he kicks it a long, long way. He launches himself off the ground as he kicks. He puts everything behind it. The referee is checking it, that it is a 40-20. He's called in his touch judge. Yes, he gives the feed to West. So 1.5 minutes till half-time, and West will pack this scrum with the feed 10 metres out. What a great kick from Twist. And in the end, it may have been worthwhile Hubbard having a go at it. He thought that he couldn't catch it, but he wasn't sure that it was a 40-20. Allowed it to go into touch. Now fed by Twist. What have they got up their sleeve here, West? It's Bowen running wide, dummying again. Tackled by Bell. Good football by Steve Bell. He didn't fall for any dummies. He just took the man with the ball. Peter Liddell, 20 metres out. Cam Roper stepping back inside. Just 12 metres out is Jason Campbell running left, and he gets it away to Bowen. On to Peter Liddell. Alan Whelan now standing. Couldn't get the pass away. Just a couple of metres out, the Panthers. Twist to Robert Campbell. David Liddell's got it. He flicks the pass over the top, and it's try time. No, it's a forward pass. Craig Smith was over out wide, but the last pass from David Liddell called forward. And what a let off for North just before half-time. That could have been, whoa, well, it's a long way from the end of the game, but, gee, that would have made it difficult to come back. There it is, the pass going forward. Probably not a lot in it, but enough.
Good hands from a big man to get that catch and pass in that short space of time. Unfortunate for West that it just appeared to drift forward slightly. Taking a bit of a battering too, by the look of it, the big fella.
Yeah, David Liddell leaving the field as Peter Liddell is cautioned. And North survive, and they now have the scrum feed where we were about a minute ago. And Carmichael takes the tackle. Just 10 seconds left in the first half in the grand final. Matt Guy has a run. Swung to ground by Jason Campbell. Frame. 3 West players converge on him. The half-time siren goes. A half where, if anything, North may have spent, well, pretty much, yeah, in fact they did. They spent more time in the opposition half. 2-1, 10 minutes. North's had in West's half with the ball. West had only 5 minutes in the opposition half, yet West were the ones who put the tries on the board. The all-important tries, and at half-time it's 16-6 in favour of West.
On Landline.
You're looking at one of the...
Welcome back to Lang Park, and a great grand final building up here. No doubt that North can come back and take on West in this second half, and a good crowd here enjoying the football. As I said, there's tremendous atmosphere here, of course, at Lang Park, and this crowd making themselves heard. And during the half-time break, we've seen Shane Perry win the Sun State Player of the Year award for the best player in the Queensland Cup for the year. Shane Perry from Logan City being presented there with the Sun State Player of the Year award. He also won the Courier Mail Best and Fairest award for the best player among the Brisbane clubs, so no doubting that Shane Perry has been the best footballer in the Queensland Cup this year, and he is joining West in Sydney next year. And John Rebo's here, brought the family along. Reeves is not at the, he's of course the Melbourne connection with North, but John Rebo deciding that this is the place to be rather than watching the Broncos this afternoon. And good luck to him, because I don't think anyone who's here would disagree. Though many people would like to be in both places. Brisbane Grand Finals has been a fine day of football here in the Colts. It was North's defeating Brothers by 44 points to 20. And in the A grade, a very exciting finish with Wynnum tipping North's 24-22. North's in all 3 grand finals. Will they go on to come from behind and win the Queensland Cup grand final? Remains to be seen, but they've got 1 out of 2 so far. Full credit to the club for having 3 teams in all the grand finals today. But look at that crowd, David. Great atmosphere down there, isn't it?
Yeah, excellent atmosphere. We, of course, are shooting across to the far side of the ground, which is actually closed, so you don't get an indication of the number of people are here. But there's a good indication, and they've been very vocal, and it's great to see the parochial support for the local clubs. And it's been a while since Norths have enjoyed this sort of prominence, and they're lapping it up, and the Panthers have got their noses in front. Can they keep them there? Of course, as we've said, they played all the final matches, all 5. This is their 5th game in the last 4 weeks. On the other hand, the Devils, this is only their 3rd, so they should have fresh legs. Can they string together the plays to keep them in this match?
West leading by 10 points going into the second half of the 1998 Grand Final of the Queensland Cup. And the ball in the hands of Norths, bringing it back strongly. Norths' last Grand Final appearance was 1989 under coach Tommy Rodonicus against Valleys, but their last win was in 1980 when Graham Lowe was the coach, and Mark Murray, who's coach today, was captain of Norths that day.
From here, Carmichael, the dummy, back on the inside. No, the dummy again by Williams. So we'll stack them in the middle of the ruck. He's been dragged along. You may as well let him go. You'll drag him over the try line. Dummy, go forward. He's over the line. It's a try. Dale Williams, no bonus. I think it's Anthony Bonus, the big man. Well, for some reason, the Panthers dragged the first tackler so close to the try line that all they have to do is play it a half a metre out, or not even that, a half a foot out in the old terms. And Bonus then could just dive forward. Outside fringe. Wilshere this time still steps back into the markers. That amazes me. If you've got the pace of this guy, the thing you got to do is scoot away, just like Matt Brewer did there. And he gets at least 8 metres upfield.
David, just getting back to Toohill, you mentioned before the game that Wayne Treleaven to be looking to use the interchange. Well, it looks like he's virtually one man down now.
Toohill injured, Warren, is he out of play?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play much more in the game. He's really hobbling, and he was only out there for 2 minutes at his last.
Play on, Hamilton. Couldn't look on the outside. Long passes to go. Beautifully up to Gundry. Bit of pace, finds it out to Williams. Don't go too far this time. Try go Dwyer. Out to Geyer. Matt Geyer for the corner. The Devils are in. They squared it up at 16 all. A fantastic try with initially starting from Andrew Hamilton. Broke down the right-hand side, got out of the tackle, got back up again. He was allowed to run, and then every player did the right thing. They took a pace, looked on the outside, took a pace, looked on the outside, and in the end, Geyer, worth having another look. This is the good work from Hamilton. That was a very important ball. Gundry up the middle. Pass over the top to Dale Williams. Look at that. Just drew the player in. Pass out there to O'Dwyer. Out to Matt Geyer. And he flashes into the corner. Devlin wasn't going to get him. The Devils have kept the ball alive. They've gone from one side of the field to the other. Good work, Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton did particularly well. Gets back to his feet and then picks out a great ball to throw here. The long pass back inside into open spaces where the defence is thin. Brian Gundry loops it over the top. Dale Williams looms up. They keep it going. O'Dwyer onto Matt Geyer, and Matt Geyer flying for the corner. That's great work, but it would never have happened if not for the brilliant pass from Andrew Hamilton, who got back to his feet and had the presence of mind to realise all the defence was coming his way, and there was space back out on the left. Matt Geyer's second try of the game, and what a beauty it was.
It's a terrific team try, that. And now Ken, the top point scorer in the competition, who's kicked some phenomenal number of goals this year, Johnny Wilshere, in his point scoring spree. And now it all comes down to 103 goals. He would love to make it 104, because this is the GF. This is 16 all. It's 21 minutes to go. Norths have not been in front in this game. They actually trailed 16-0. Can they make it 18-16? Hits it nicely, curving it, got the distance, over! Johnny Wilshere gets the Devils in front for the first time in the match.
When the wingers, 5 metres out. Carmichael ducks under one tackle, still going, Carmichael! Kevin Carmichael scores! And the referee will rule a try, despite the protests of Wests. And that extends the lead as 22-16 kick to come to give Norths an 8-point lead. But Carmichael, who's been mainly trying to set up his supports, this time goes himself, ducking under the tackle there of Dave Asplin. And there it was. That was what West were complaining about. A bit of a shepherd there as the West player tried to get to Carmichael the second time.
Well, I don't think you can shepherd if you're behind a player backing up, providing you are behind and backing up. I think Valentine's misread that. That's a fair call. And we've seen the genius of the number 7 for the Panthers. And now we see the class of the number 7 for the Devils. Twist has...
Fuller to play it. Jason Campbell, well, he thinks about the blind. That wasn't the way to go.
This is...
Out to the open, but Bowen with numbers. Quickly through the hands to Valentine. He's got Maguire on his outside. Gives it to him now. Maguire comes back inside. Valentine's on his feet. To Devlin. Oh, good tackle by Fenton. Chris looks over the top to Fuller. They're coming from everywhere. That's a great tackle. Play on, though. Just 15 metres out. Fuller has it again. Puts the kick straight into the hands of Ruar, and he takes the catch.
Well, what a shame it didn't finish on a high note as it had started. That was a magnificent passage of play from the Panthers. If they can get their fair share of possession in the last 9 minutes or so, they're still capable of capturing the last 6 points. But they must let... He's lost it! Lost it backwards. Play on. This is Tristan Brady-Smith, can't get away. Gee, there's been some good one-on-one tackles in cover defence. Ricky Paul to bring it forward. This grand final has not let us down. We've got another one. 3 in a row for the Queensland Cup. Ricky Paul to play it. Pass up this time to Carmichael. Run straight through. Up the middle. Looks for support. Left and right. Carmichael still going. The support overrun him.
And Devlin's done it again.
Tony Devlin makes the tackle. Here's the last one. Move it out this side. Wally's goes for a field goal. Andrew Hamilton. Wally's done it. The Bundaberg kid has whacked it over. That gives them a 7-point lead. And for the second time in a week, we've had a forward. Sorry, how many? 9-point lead. Well, a very comfortable lead. And that will really make it harder and harder now for the Panthers.
Yeah, you've got to wonder, David, was a field goal what they required there? I mean, they were on the attack. They could have scored. They could have put them back on their heels once more. 1 point's 1 point, but it's not going to make the difference in the game. A try might have.
Yep, I don't believe it was the right tactic, Warren. With still 7.5 minutes to go, the Panthers could still score twice to win it.
And that really was silly play. That was panic play. Too much by Jason Campbell. Wasn't on that call, that pass. And instead it's Craig O'Dwyer for the line. And Craig O'Dwyer scores the match-winning try. That settles the grand final. It's all over. North will win it now. They can't be stopped. O'Dwyer with the final blow that wraps it up for the Devils. Makes it 29-16. There's no coming back for West now. And the 5'8" picks up the scraps here and finally takes them on himself. A little bit of a swerve. Got inside and between Asplin and Fuller and scores the try that wraps up the 98 grand final.
Well, Westwood desperate to try and score a long-distance try, pushing the pass. Prothero got a hold of it, and then really the Panthers had not recovered to defend this play. And it can quite often be the little men, the step, the straighten when it's late in the game and you're feeling tired. And you really have to push to get there when you're behind on the scoreboard. Fellows like this, Craig O'Dwyer, with a little bit of individual play, the step to go through the defensive line, and the Devils have done it.
And you mentioned, David, the big men not able to contain the little men. One of them's in defence, Dave Asplin. He was involved in the miss on Carmichael, then again on O'Dwyer. I think he's wounded anyway. He doesn't look to me 100%. He's been quite badly wounded a few times coming into the game and today. And the ball's rolled off the mound. Put that together with the fact that West have had to play week in, week out. I think they have tired, as Gavin's pointed out. And then throw in the fact Toohill has not been able to complete the game, so they just haven't had the 4 men rotating off the benches they would have liked. And I think they've finally run out of gas, the Panthers. But there's no taking anything away from North, who were the minor premiers and have played some fine football. Once the passes started to stick, they were going to be dangerous, and they have been.
Wilshere now to add the extras and pushes it to the right and hits the upright. Waved away, but it doesn't matter. 29-16 in favour of the Devils.
A couple of very tired, wounded West Warriors here trying to make a tackle. Just ran out of legs, and their tough campaign, no doubt, has come home to cause them some problems. Dwyer slips between a couple of the West forwards there to seal the match.
West haven't given up trying as they try the short kick-off through Whelan. Couldn't regather, and it might be North's instead. Hubbard stretches out, and across comes a great tackle. It was Williamson, who should be on the other wing, but he's on the left wing to make that tackle. North's go left, right across the field. O'Dwyer opens him up again. He's striding through. He's got Dyer on his left. Cover defence coming at them. But Dyer's in for his 3rd try. A hat-trick in the grand final for Matt Dyer. Well, he hasn't seen a lot of the ball, but every time he has, he leaves them in his wake. Matt Geyer, great speed, great positioning. He could have had a fourth try just a moment or two back. Instead, he makes it 3 and it's 33-16.
Craig O'Dwyer is the one who again breaches the defensive line. From the kickoff it was. West had tried the short kick and Norths went on with the job. O'Dwyer through, looked like he could have scored it himself, and back on the inside to Matt Geyer for his hat-trick.
Yeah, David Fuller, who we gave plenty of credit to for some great tackling earlier in the game, just doesn't have the strength and the pace and the energy to get across and make a more effective tackle there. Grabbing at O'Dwyer. O'Dwyer too fast for him on the outside. Geyer there to finish it off. And he celebrates, as will the Devils. A great effort by Norths in the second half to come from behind. In this Queensland Cup, how often have teams come from behind through the final series? Norths were trailing 16-6 at half-time, and now they're leading 33-16. The kick from Will Shear is there. In fact, it wasn't Will Shear in the end who took that kick. Carmichael it was who puts the icing on the cake. 35-16 in favour of Norths, defeating West to take the Queensland Cup Grand Final of 1998. Norths were the minor premiers. They lost only 5 games all season. They've gone straight through the semis, straight into the grand final, and fresh legs and pure skill and determination have prevailed to defeat West here. A gallant West gave it everything they had, led at half-time, led for some time into the second half, and tried their hearts out. Tremendous spirit in the West club, but in the end, the class, the spirit, and just the all-round performance of Norths coming home strong in the second half to win the grand final, 35-16, a score that probably flatters them a little in so much that West didn't deserve to get beaten by that far, but late tries piled on the points. There's the stats for the full game. Penalties 5-3 to the Devils, the scrums favouring Norths. Overall errors, too many errors, a lot of missed tackles by the Panthers, 53 errors in all to 31 by the Devils. And the tackles relatively even, but West had to make more, and that certainly wore them down. Possession well and truly favouring Norths. Time in possession, particularly in the opposition half, going their way in the first half as well as the second. Completed sets, 31-26. You've always got to have those going your way if you're going to win a game, particularly a grand final, and line breaks telling, 11-3. So it was really all North statistically, and all importantly when it came to tries, it was the Devils. 6 tries to 3, 5 goals to 2, plus a field goal for good measure. And they finally broke the back of West, charging through the second half. The victorious coach, Mark Murray, there, be very proud of his side and his own efforts. And they will celebrate tonight, the Northern Suburbs Devils.
Thanks very much, John McDonald. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'd like to hear a few words from the victorious Norths captain, Kevin Carmichael.
On behalf of David Wright and Gavin Payne today, and through the season, Jerry Collins and Greg Dowling and all our ABC crew, we've enjoyed bringing you the Queensland Cup, and we look forward to your company again next year. It should be another great season of rugby league on ABC television. Congratulations to Norths.